Hello, everyone, and welcome to the None of Our Businesses show and podcast roundtable segment, I should say. And we're coming to you from our new studio here. We have kind of built this, bootstrapped it together in the garage of my house here. And as always, Charlie and AJ are joining me. They're gracious enough to come over here and hang out with me and do this. And we don't talk about him very often, but Ethan's here behind the desk running the audio, and Ethan's going to maybe get some B-roll of this awesome new studio for you later so you can see what we did here. And it's not done yet, so this is somewhat of a test. So, you know, you might, if the lighting or the sound sounds a little bit off or whatever, bear with us. We'll get it better over time. But anyway, we thought, hey, you know, we like to get as much stuff out there as we can, and we definitely had a topic burning in our heads this week. There was a tool, a document, a report, as you may call it, that came out from the company Bill.com. And if you don't know what Bill.com does, is they are a payable solution. I think they also handle the receivable side too, but they start out in the payable side, and what they do is they help companies automate their company's payables, and then they integrate with popular accounting software to streamline the accounting process for the company's payables. So anyway, this is not a plug for Bill.com, so I'm not gonna go too far.
Only if they want to sponsor the new our new podcast headquarters.
Yeah. I mean, they gave us an article here to talk about. They gave us a report here to talk about. So good on them. And it was pretty informative from my perspective, because it was the title of it was why do clients fire, and why do they then hire accounting firms? And Charlie and AJ here with me. We're not a traditional accounting firm, but we do have a consulting practice aside from creating this content for you all. We have a consulting practice where we serve clients with what we call CFO advisory and outsourced accounting. So we share a lot of similarities in business flow, and the things that Bill.com was talking about in this report, or the things that they found in this report, I think would be somewhat applicable to a firm like ours as well. So it was a particular interest to us. But anyway, in this report, they did some surveys of different companies that use accounting firms, of course, and asked, you know, what is most important, and they put out some data, and we all spent some time to take a look at it, and some of the things were confirmatory of what I've suspected was kind of at the top of clients' minds, and some of the results maybe were a little surprising. But yeah, maybe I'll just open the floor and see kind of what you guys thought about it.
I thought it was, like you said, I had always had in my mind, and we can go over some of the numbers here in a minute, but I always had in my mind that I thought things like responsiveness, customer relations, because at the end of the day, if you are a traditional accounting firm or you're not, and you offer alternative, like ancillary services to what a true like public accounting firm would be, you're a service-based provider. You're providing a service to anybody. Any kind of service-based, people have lots of options. This accounting isn't new, or accounting services aren't new. Just like a mechanic or any of those other kind of, I guess, other service businesses, lawyers, something like that. There are lots of lawyers to choose from. So to distinguish yourself, you should distinguish yourself on, a lot of people call it brand, but reputation. And part of that, I think, is being responsive and a good agent of your organization, and being able to present and be responsive to clients' needs.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because it's like one of those things where you would think that the biggest thing is like in accounting would be like having the right answer all the time, but the reality is, like you're talking about with responsiveness, is like sometimes it's a matter of being able to admit when you don't know the answer and you're willing to research it, and the person just wants to see that you are, taking their request seriously and really trying to figure out the right answer. And so, yeah, like you said, at the end of the day, it's a service business, and has a lot of things in common with every other service business.
Yeah, I mean, I think right on with that they specifically cited kind of what I'd call a 24-hour rule, that they asked the question in the way of if you don't get back to the client within 24 hours, then that's one of those service components that they might fire you over, kind of thing, if you're not responsive in that way. And I thought that was interesting, just because I've always tried to adhere to a 24-hour rule as much as I could. But I don't remember getting it from anywhere. I think it was just like a number I'd pulled out of like, yeah, it's probably reasonable to expect that I can get back to somebody within 24 hours in most cases. And so I always try to do it. So yeah, it was that was one of those confirmatory data points that they cited that exact same thing that in terms of what we try to do.
Well, and especially nowadays, everybody has a cell phone. I mean,
Yeah.
you're carrying your email and you're like, your communication device. No longer do you have to sit down at a desk and like log into email to get one.
Yep.
You know when you get an email and or any kind of other message or app that you're using. So it to me, especially nowadays, if somebody hasn't responded to me in 24 hours in a situation where I asked for help or something like that, I just assume that A, they're busy, or B, they don't want to get back to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people get stuck because they confuse responsiveness with actually having the answer.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think within 24 hours, anybody, like to your point, anybody can be responsive. But like if somebody's coming at us with a very like technical question or something that I really don't know anything about and it's going to require some research, that being responsive may mean saying, hey, I understand what you're asking, or maybe let me repeat it back to you to make sure I do understand what you're asking. And I actually don't know this, so this is the path that we're going to have to take to find this out, right? And that, so it doesn't necessarily mean coming back with here's the exact answer that solves the exact problem you're looking for within 24 hours. I think most companies and most people that we might work with, they appreciate that that's not always possible.
Yeah, I
Right.
would prefer that just from the standpoint of being a client to just hear that somebody's willing to take the time, research, and admit, what they don't know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well, and I think many clients are very understanding. I haven't run across one that if you got back to them in that manner, like, hey, great question. Let me make sure I understand your question. Let's put a time on the calendar to talk about it. Or I need to know more information before I can give you an answer, or I need to research it a bit. That's a really unique and good question. Like, let me get back to you on that.
Yeah.
I think it's basic though, right? You just want your needs addressed in some way.
Right.
I mean, we're all consumers. So if I go to some place and something isn't right, I just want my needs addressed. I don't need a discount. I don't need any of the niceties about it. I just want whatever is wrong to be addressed.
Yeah.
Or whatever my concern is to be addressed.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that plays across, not just our industry, of course, but especially service industries, but across a vast amount of industries,